evening and welcome to Election 2017, Brockton City Election. We're here in studio, in BCA Studios. I have the panel that we've had for a couple of different election cycles and new faces. So Steve Foote is here joining me in studio. Steve's been to my left, and even when I was running, he was always here. Tom Minicello, who is on our board. He's the vice chair of the school committee, and luckily he's unopposed, so I can have him here in studio. And outgoing Councilor at Large Shana Barnes, who was added to the repertoire here.
I love the desk. I love being upstairs in the booth.
Well, I love the glasses.
Yeah, those are cool glasses. They really are.
They are my homage to A Different World, Dwayne Wayne. Early 90s, spin-off of the Huxtables. They are the Flips.
There you go.
Black market.
So
if you want them, you can get them at the black market.
You're not looking through rose-colored glasses or anything like that,
I certainly am not.
Okay.
I see very clear.
You've been on the city council, so no rose-colored glasses here.
With a unique perspective.
So this election has been unique, to say the least. I can elaborate that in a little while, but we have a contested mayor's race. We have contested councilor at large race, and then we have in the wards, Ward 1, Tom and my ward, kind of, it's the mayor's race and the councilor at large race. The city council and school committee are unopposed. In 2, we have the added council race. We have incumbent councilor Tom Monahan being challenged by Angel Cosma. We have Ward 3. We have current councilor Dennis Aneri being challenged by Tina Cardoso, and there's a school committee race there as well. Incumbent Mark D'Agostino being challenged by Steve Kelly. In Ward 4, we have Derek Barros and Suna Castro for an open seat. We're going to show you the faces in a little bit, and school committee is unopposed. In Ward 5, we have incumbent city councilor Ann Beauregard being challenged by Doris Smith, and incumbent school committee woman Judy Sullivan being challenged by Nancy DiMacedo. In Ward 6, we have councilor incumbent Jack Lally being challenged by Joanne Zygmunt, and school committee incumbent Joyce Asak being challenged by Felicia Chalmers. Ward 7, we have a school committee race. It's a rematch. Tim Sullivan, who's the current school committee member, being challenged by the former school committee member, Ray Henningsen. We'll run down the races. We'll show you the pictures. But out in the field today, I'm going to go right to this because we don't know exactly when we're going to get the numbers. We have, Jay Miller was out this morning early in the morning, as early as 7:30, talking to different candidates, and we were able to catch up with most, not all, but most of the candidates. So I am hoping that we can go and take a look at the candidates for mayor, Mayor Bill Carpenter and challenger Jimmy Pereira. We have that from earlier this morning. Let's take a look if we can.
Election day is when it all comes together. It's a lot of months of a lot of hard work by a lot of volunteers, and it all comes together on election day. In some ways, we can't wait to get it over, but it's an exciting day for all of us, and we're looking forward to a big win when the count comes in tonight.
The parks, you had talked about parks as when you were first running in 2013, and it's been incredible what's happened over the past 4 years.
Well, parks and playgrounds have been a focus because I believe that parks and playgrounds help stabilize neighborhoods. I believe parks and playgrounds improve the quality of life for people who live in the city. And parks and playgrounds belong to families and good people to use. And we've made it a point to take back control of the parks and playgrounds, to invest money in the parks and playgrounds. In less than 4 years, we've done 5 new parks and playgrounds. We have 2 more going under construction for this spring. So, and the important thing is we've done all of that with no local Brockton tax dollars. We've funded it with state grant money, federal CDBG funds, along with donations from companies that are willing to help support us. So yeah, we will continue to work on the parks and playgrounds, but it certainly has been a primary focus of ours during our first 4 years, because I believe it impacts public safety, it impacts quality of life, it impacts the livability of the city, where more and more families are moving every day to raise their kids here.
There's been a lot of progress in the city, and it's starting to bear fruit. Citizens are actually starting to see it. It must be exciting.
It's a very different campaign this time after being in office for almost 4 years. You know, we've got a track record that we're running on this time, and I hear that from residents across the city, that they see the improvement in the city. They see that the city is cleaner. They see that it's safer. They see that we've created jobs and the city's become more prosperous. And so, you know, we've run on our record this time, and I feel good about it, and I appreciate the support that I get from everyone across the city. And I want to personally thank everyone who came out today to vote for me. It means a great deal to me, and I'll continue to work just as hard for the next 2 years to earn your confidence.
Around 205. Hello. Hi. Hi, Jimmy. Yes. Jim, how are you? Yes.
We work.
Hi, Jimmy. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. Most certainly, sir. How's it going,
Hi,
sir?
how are you?
Staying warm? It was a great experience. I think this is something that you could only get through a campaign and running a campaign B and having your name on the ballot as well, especially making it through the primary and going to the general election as well. This is something that I'm looking to share with everyone also, so it's something that's developing. It's a building development, and we want to make sure that we get everyone involved, get out the vote, and get involved. That's the most important thing, and get active.
What have you learned about yourself during this experience?
I think that I could take a lot of pressure. I think that's what I've learned so far, because life isn't easy. I've been through a lot, but going through a diverse array of different issues as well, obstacles, and the political campaign and the bureaucrat of it, I think is something that is a different type of pressure, that something that I haven't seen, I haven't experienced. I've done academic things, I've done regional planning and things of the sort, but being a politician and having the title of the public servant, no matter what, you are a politician when you take the title of mayor or any type of elected position, but being responsible for that position, making sure that you're accountable, transparent, and inclusive, and working for the people is something that I know that I've learned that I'm committed to doing.
Mm-hmm. And then over the course of the last year, I'd say, when you really decided to think about running, what have you learned about the city that you may not have known?
I didn't know that it was, I always grew up seeing my city as a united city, a diverse city, but I didn't know there was that many small divisions within our city. Even in my own ancestry, my own culture of Cape Verdean descent, ancestry, I've seen that, you know, there is that division that we need. There's a lot more work that we need to do, a lot more work of bringing people together, and a lot more work of sharing of information and educating people about their government, about their community, and the resources and potential that we have as a city of champions.
All right, when this airs, the polls will have been closed, but is there anything that you'd like to say to your supporters that have been with you since the beginning?
I would like to say thank you. I humbly thank all of my supporters for all the help, all the support, the push, the drive that I've received from everyone, and even to the opposing side as well too. We want to make sure that we come together at the end of the day and that we're moving our city forward, and to let my supporters know that this, of course, no matter what the outcome is not the end. We have a long haul ahead of us, and we're going to be doing it together.
And we're back here live. Thank you to Jay for getting the candidate reaction, Mayor Carpenter and his challenger, Jimmy Pereira. We also have city council race, city councilor at large race. There are 8 candidates for 4 seats, 3 incumbents that are presently in the seats, and an open seat because Shane is sitting here with us on set. Okay, and 4 other candidates, 4 challengers as well. I guess anything's an open seat if you really think about it, because no seat is owned by anybody. So Jay went out. We got 2 incumbents and 2 challengers. That's who we could roust up early in the day. So let's take a look and see what we have for the councilor at large race.
So, Councilor Farwell, you've had many runs for office. How is this one similar or different?
Well, it's a little different for me because of social media, which has really become an important component of campaigning. It's similar in the sense that it's all coming down to the voters finally having their choice after all of us as candidates have perhaps droned on and on for 4 or 5 months with the different issues. I just hope there is a good turnout because you're picking people who will lead the city for the next 2 years.
And the political climate in the city, how would you say it is right now?
In my opinion, it's fragmented, and I think that's too bad. I've just noticed a polarization of groups, which I think need to be brought together. And everything you accomplish in life is teamwork. And so you can't split the community based on demographics or how many voters there are on the ballot from a particular group. You have to pull them all together and say, here are the issues, what are the best solutions, and then let's all work together to implement them.
Mm-hmm. Is that one of the things that you'd be working towards if you get reelected, or?
Yes, I'd like the people that support me to know that I will always look at each issue individually. If it's good for Brockton, I'm going to put my support behind it. If it's only for a particular group or a particular person, then I'm probably not going to be very impressed. I'm more of a team effort person, and I like to see the entire community brought into all of the challenges as well as the successes that we have.
And then finally, any message to the people that have supported you over the past few years?
Oh, there is nothing that I could say to thank people for giving me the opportunity of serving in every elected office in the city, from school committee to mayor, and the last 2 years as counselor. The only thing I can humbly say is I will always try to do my best with integrity and independence, and hopefully that's a small way to repay the voters.
Hey, here you go. Is this good? I'm Gary Keith Sr. I'm candidate for council at large here in the great city of Brockton, and this is my oldest son, Gary Keith Jr. So you'll be seeing him in a few years when he starts to run. I just want to say thank you to all the voters today that go out today and actually cast their vote. We're running in this one being our third time. We've gained the experience over the last 4 years of serving on the planning board and the zoning board. So as my motto goes right now, experience does matter. City of Brockton has some issues right now, and we need to actually have some experienced leadership to lead the city forward. Citizens of Brockton they want transparency, and they want to really be involved in the know-how. They want to be able to go out and know who their counselor is, and I've done that. I reached out to a lot of them. I engage with them, and I get the same answer from almost more than 50% of the voters that want transparency.
What has been different about this election cycle compared to ones in the past?
You know, Jay, I don't think at the end of the day there's much of a difference. I mean, the way that my father and my mother run my campaign, they're my campaign managers. At the end of the day, it's about, making the contact to the voters, to the people that I've served proudly for 12 years, knocking on the doors, listening to their concerns, getting suggestions and even criticisms at times. So, it's old-fashioned politics, but it's the essence of how we've been successful, and I hope to be successful again today.
How's the political climate in the city?
I think if you look at the preliminary, only 9.5% of the voters registered even went out to vote. So I have to say right now there's probably some apathy, and we hope to turn that around today and going forward, because at the end of the day, we're all in this city together, those that live here and work here, and the only way really to make positive change is to go to the ballot box and vote. And I'm asking all the voters today to go out and consider voting me again as a councilor at large, and I'm going to continue to work with them and for them, and at the end of the day, this is home, so I hope to get their vote and move forward for the next 2 years.
What keeps you hungry? What keeps you going?
This is home. This is where I grew up. This is where I was educated, when my wife was educated, where we're raising our 3 kids. So, many people have left the city of Champions, the city of Brockton, but we haven't. This is our roots. My parents are here, my in-laws are here, and it's home. So I want to continue to be the voice at City Hall for the people that I proudly serve, all 7 wards and all 28 precincts. And again, I'm asking humbly for their confidence and their support. They can vote for 4 at-large, as you know, Jay, and I'm just looking for 1 vote to continue to be an advocate at all times.
Anything you'd like to say to your supporters, and you have a lot of
I just want to thank the people that spent countless hours away from their families to help my campaign. We have been doing this all summer. We concluded last night, the night before the election, with a great holdout on West and Pleasant Street. I'm just thankful. I have great friends, great supporters, and great constituents. So thank you.
I feel during this election I've kept my integrity. I've been very consistent with the same message I've spoken about before. I'm very proud of my team. We stayed true to what we wanted to accomplish. I feel good. I feel really good. But like I said, my message has never changed. Involved in the community, very committed to transparency and accountability. Also very proud that I was really happy I didn't try to accept any endorsements from any special interest groups at all. I wasn't catering to any certain group of voters. I was catering to Brockton residents and business owners. So I'm feeling great today.
I noticed, and the voter turnout might be low, but I've noticed that there are smaller pockets of groups that are evolving and getting more active in politics. Have you seen the same thing?
I'm very proud of the young leaders in the city that we have, involved right now. And like you just said, there's a lot of groups of concerned business owners and residents that are new, to politics at least, not new to the city, but new to the political process. I'm very encouraged for what the future brings. Very, very encouraged. I'll be a part of it no matter what happens tonight either way. But I do feel really, really good about the energy in the city right now.
And then finally, your supporters, you have a bunch of them. Anything you want to say directly to them? The polls have been closed when this airs.
I tell them every day, I love my team. My team is more than just a team, we're a family. We actually wanted to extend the election just so we could spend more time together, because honestly, you build so many good relationships with people. And we've been working hard for the past 3 months. There's one thing I will say, and this is not a disrespect to any team out there. My team has done more groundwork than any team in the city of Brockton. I feel really good no matter what happens tonight with what we've done. Put in the hard work. At the end of the day, I can live with the results as long as we did whatever we could do. So I'm very, very happy. And my team, I love them.
And we are back here live in BCA studios. Again, thanks to Jay. 4 out of the 8 councilors at large aren't bad. So now that we've seen the information and the response from the 2 mayoral candidates, 4 out of the 8 councilor at large candidates, let's talk about that for a few minutes, and then we'll talk about voter turnout and run down the races. I kind of did a fast run through, kind of went fast and didn't show the pictures. We did a lot of graphical work ahead of time. So, Steve, I'll start with you. Mayor Carpenter, this would be the 3rd time it is a charm election. We don't know the numbers. The councilor at large, we have a completely wide open seat. Again, I said they're all wide open in a sense. What did you see in what you saw so far?
Well, Jimmy Pereira seems like a nice enough guy, but I think he made a critical mistake last week backing out of the debate that he had scheduled with Mayor Carpenter. I mean, generally speaking, a challenger will take any airtime that's available, and that's what he should have done, but that's my opinion. But so I think the road is tough for him. Carpenter, this will be his 3rd term if he wins, and he's defeated better-known opponents in his first 2 races than Jimmy Pereira. But Jimmy Pereira's a young kid. He's got a long way to go. And as far as the councilor at large races, you have the 3 incumbents are going to be listed 1, 2, 3 on the ballot, so that's helpful. And then everybody's going to be running for the 4th spot, and Gene Bradley grabbed the number 4 spot on the ballot, so that's going to give him a leg up. Plus, he's got a lot of signs around, and they say lawn signs don't vote, but believe me, folks, those big giant ones you see do have an effect, and he has a few of those, and some of the other guys were just underfunded as far as Mr. Tagger goes. He's got a tough road coming from that number 8 spot to try to climb all the way up. It's tough because a lot of times people will vote and they'll have their 4 choices and they'll go, oh God, geez, I would have voted for him, but then they've already used their 4 votes. So coming from the 8 spot's tough.
Or the magic bullet.
Or the
if
magic
they tell
bullet.
people to vote for themselves. We'll talk about that going forward. I'm going to go to Councilor Barnes. I can still say Councilor Barnes. Okay. I'm going to focus in on the councilor at large race. Okay. That was your vantage point. You ran for that seat. What do you see out there? What do you hear out there? What have you may have heard today?
Sure. So, what I saw today, actually, I didn't really see a whole lot of, I guess, engaging or activity. I don't know if it was the cold that may have kept people home or kept some of the candidates at home. I saw a lot of abandoned signs in a lot of different locations at what I thought would be prime times of the day when people would go, lunchtime. Either right before or after, work time, and even, it was dark. But I was expecting to see kind of, I guess, a little more groups of people kind of just being out and supporting, their candidates. And I don't know, and I did find, I do know too that, volunteerism is really hard. It's really hard to kind of get folks to take days off of work, to take themselves away from their families. Councilor Sullivan said that he's very grateful for people for sacrificing their time with their family for him and his endeavor to represent them in the chamber. But one thing I did hear from Councillor Sullivan about the apathy of the voter, and I think that's palatable at this particular point. And I don't know if it's just kind of, the way the nation is right now with politics and just, the onslaught that we're getting. I mean, there's not a news cycle that doesn't go by that we're not, either audibly or visually assaulted by, some kind of either crazy politics or rogue politics or whatever. And I think it might be oversaturating folks, and they're just not really kind of understanding the significance of what local politics is. And you had the adage about, lawn signs don't vote. That's 100% true. But also, too, all politics is local politics. And, when people really kind of internalize that, I think that'll go away. And I think things like this, it kind of ebbs and flows. So, right now you have folks kind of not really either, I guess, internalizing the significance of what their vote means and what these elections mean in the long run. But I think that might change soon. So I'm excited for that. One other thing, too. I guess I might want to ask you gentlemen. So, in the councilor at large race, you have two candidates that have run 3 times apiece for, some various office. So do you think that third time's a charm for these fellas, or is it, 3 strikeouts?
I'm going to say that's a very risky thing because I've run twice, not counting my unopposed school committee race. And third time is either a charm or you get a wonderful brand called 3-time loser.
Right.
So you got to pick that third time very carefully.
Right.
Gary Keith has certainly worked quite a bit to get elected this time around. Again, I think there's a contest for the 4th seat. I think there are 3 people that are contesting it. I have my thoughts. We'll talk about that when we see some numbers come in.
Sure.
Because we want to run down the races. But, I think that when you put yourself out there citywide, that's quite the feat. It's, you're running as if you were running the campaign for mayor. It's the whole city, depending on where you live. Gary Keith is in Ward 1. He's in Ward 1, and I think he's near, I think Jean and Gary are both in Ward 1.
I think so, too.
And Jacob is in Ward 6, if I'm not. So it might be geography and turnout, which I have turnout numbers we can talk
Just
about.
the way it's set up, I think ballot position is huge. It's just huge. You just can't win. It's just very, very hard to win from the 7th or 8th spot.
You've been there, so you can speak
I have
to
been-
that. We've had
I've
that
had that
conversation.
tough draw a couple
Been there,
of
done
times,
that.
yep.
Well,
Tom, what do you
We're
think?
going to test Steve's theory tonight,
Right.
Well, something that Councilor Farwell said is, very, I think, prevalent today, and that is social media. And I think that when you were talking, Shana, about apathy, I think a lot of people are turned off by, vitriol and people spouting off and people being snipey and snippy and rude and nasty on social media. And I don't think that, some people in the city might think that's great, but I think the overall voters reject it. I really do. I don't think that people in Brockton, the vast majority, think that people who go on social media and spout off without knowing the facts, with just going at other people, turns
Malicious
people on.
intent.
Yeah, I don't think it turns people on. And so I think that people need to understand that social media is a very positive tool if used in the right way. But with what's going on in the country, with the the divisiveness, the nastiness, I don't think people here in Brockton are going to say, I really want the candidate who's going to be the nastiest and go on social media all the time and start throwing bombs without knowing the facts, and then all of a sudden the facts come out and it's quiet time, dead zone. It's like, you've already thrown the grenades, but now that you find out what's going on, now you shut your mouth. Oh, really? Well, I think the voters in Brockton are smarter than that, and so I think people need to be very careful with social media. With something Steve said, with regard to the mayor's race, if you're going to be going against an incumbent like Bill Carpenter, who who prior to running for mayor was a popular radio show host in Brockton. People, in the political circles all knew Bill. He was, out there criticizing politicians, basically taking on the issues of the day. If you're going to go against someone like that, just like Steve said, you better take every darn opportunity you can get to give yourself visibility. Because, prior to this election, I didn't know who Jimmy Pereira was. And I guarantee you there's a lot of people that don't know who Jimmy Pereira is.
We saw in the video he was introducing himself to the people on the line.
Yeah, now, do I give him credit for running for mayor? It's a big effort. I mean, he certainly worked hard. You have to work hard if you're going to run for mayor. I mean, but, you have to, I think, also have a realistic expectation of what is attainable and what you need to do in order to achieve that goal. And, I think there was the professor at Bridgewater State who basically said, bowing out of a debate like that was political malpractice. I mean, you want to take that opportunity to basically compare and contrast and show the voters and prove to the voters that I'm going to be better for the job, and this is why.
Well, he got beat up pretty bad at the Lincoln church debate. The people, I didn't think that they, put on their best face or that they behaved well. They were very combative with him when he answered. There were a lot of Carpenter supporters there, and they have a right to be there. But I just think that it seemed like that may have gotten to him. And in the last race with Chris McMillan, it was clear that got to him at several of the debates.
But that's his chance to show that he's mayor material.
Right.
So he can
Well, then he's got to be able to stand up to the heat and stand up to the pressure.
The job is constantly being criticized.
Yeah, constant criticism.
That was his chance to really show his mettle, and he didn't take advantage of it.
So,
I know Tom's phone is going off, and I know my phone is going off. I have people taking pictures of, wards and precincts. So to me, that looks more official than what I normally get. Usually I get texts and stuff like that. What I want to do before I do any numbers is I want to go over one more time the races, because I breezed through them all real quick, and we did some nice graphic work with the pictures and the staff. So if we can go through, it'll be up on the screen over there, so I'll take some of them and we can kind of share it. Obviously the mayor's race, incumbent Bill Carpenter going for his third term, being challenged by Jimmy Pereira. We'll switch over to the Councilor at Large race. So we got them all 8 of them up on the screen.
Hey.
We have incumbent Councilor Win Farwell, incumbent Councilor at Large Moses Rodriguez, incumbent Councilor at Large and Council President Bob Sullivan. We have Gene Bradley, and I always mess up his last name, so I'm not going to say it. Scott Hall, who has volunteered here at Brockton Community Access. Bill Hogan, Gary Keith, and Jacob Tagger. I'll let someone else run down the city council races. Why don't we start with Steve?
Well, my classmate in the class of '74, Tom Monahan, in Ward 2 against Angel Cosma Jr. And in Ward 3, we have Councilor Dennis Inieri running against Tina Cardoza. And Ward 3 School Committee. This is interesting. Mark D'Agostino running against Stephen Kelly, the head of the Brockton Democratic City Committee.
And Tom will do a couple of the races. Let's go over to 4.
well, for Ward 4 City Council, we have Derek Barros, and on the other side, we have Susan DeCastro. Ward 5 City Council, we have incumbent Ann Beauregard and Doris Lynn Smith. With regard to Ward 5 School Committee, we have current school committee member Judy Sullivan, and her challenger is Nancy DiMacedo.
And we'll go over to 6 with Shana.
Okay, and in Ward 6, we have the incumbent Councilor John Lally, and his challenger is Joanne Zygmunt. In Ward 6 School Committee, we have incumbent Joyce Asak, and her competitor is Felicia A. Chalmers. In Ward 7 School Committee, which is going to be a really tight race that I think everybody's going to be looking at, is incumbent Timothy J. Sullivan and former school committee member, as Mike Lindy said, Ray Henningsen.
And those are the races we have for this. Now, before we get to numbers, which are going to start coming in soon, we're all getting texts and everything, I gave everybody the turnout sheets from John McGarry's elections offices, and I wanted to thank Cindy over there for helping us out, like she always does.
She's the best.
She is, and I said that to her tonight, and she agreed. She even gave me a piece of cake on the way out from Montelier, so you can't beat that.
Yeah.
But the turnout at 6 o'clock at night, which was the last count we had before the polls actually closed, we had a 22% turnout. It was 10,904 voters. Believe it or not, Ward 1 had, the race that had the most voters as of 6 o'clock was Ward 3 with 1,858 voters. And Ward 1, which didn't have a school committee challenge or a city council challenge, was second with 1,680. And then there were 3 wards that were almost tied. Ward 6 had just 1 shy of 1,600. Ward 4 had 3 shy of 1,600, and Ward 5 had 1,581. Ward 7 was 1,448, and Ward 2 was last with 1,141. The numbers kind of held throughout the day. The turnout at 10 o'clock in the morning was 5%. The turnout at 2 o'clock in the afternoon was 13%. And the turnout at 6 o'clock was 22%. John McGarry had kind of ballparked it between 20 and 25%. Could go above that. I mean, because 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock is that's the heaviest time,
Right.
and everybody's turning out their voters at that point.
I was over at the Hancock at about between 5 and 7. And there were quite a few people going in, getting out of work and going in to vote. So, I mean, I think that there was definitely more traffic. And if the Hancock is doing that, I would imagine the rest of the city is also
I went by
doing
Kingman
that.
Street at around that time too, about 5:30, I'd say, and it was a dead zone.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
The library.
Yeah.
But I have a question actually. Can I ask a question or pose a question to you gentlemen
You
from
can,
social
sure.
media?
Yeah.
I wanted to engage our people to to try to get rid of the apathy. So I told them if they have any questions that they can leave them on my Facebook, and we do have one from a Ward 4 resident actually, Lynn Smith. Are there steps we can take to improve voter participation, automatic registration, voting on weekends, vote by mail, or is the low turnout simply inevitable? Any ideas? What are your feelings on that?
I think that if we have some voting on the weekend, that you're going to have more people. I mean, I think that that's a good idea. A weekend vote might provide something, but you really need to, I think, get the vote out, meaning that you need to let people know that there is an election. We really need to, I think, broadcast and advertise that there is an election, this Tuesday. When I'm driving down this, the main drags, in the middle of I call it Suicide Intersection, West Street and Pleasant Street, right by the mall. Very dangerous. It's unbelievable. But there's one just tiny little triangular, sort of lunch sign. That island lunch sign. And you have to really stare at what is that thing right there? And then you're like, oh, it says something about an election. I think that we really need to have a little more visibility and attention put on the fact that there is an election going on.
That's a very good point, because when I was watching the news this morning when I got up, I was watching the election coverage from Boston and Framingham and some of the other places that had mayoral races and stuff like that. And all they showed in the background shots was these signs, election, vote today, all these busy intersections had these signs. They even had the ones that you might see at a construction thing.
Right,
on the highway,
exactly. Those
the
flat,
electronic
exactly.
signs.
Those electronic signs.
Right.
Yeah.
We need more of that.
Well, that you have to invest in that.
A
You know what I mean?
banner that goes across Main
Right.
Street. I mean, this stuff.
Yeah.
This stuff's not that
But
expensive.
but you have to put a little bit of money towards it. Now there's the other person who says, if you're not engaged and know what's going on, I don't want you to vote. I don't want you involved in the system because you're not an informed person. So don't come here and clog up and mess up, for the people that are into it, know what the issues are, know who the candidates are, for the sake of, I'm going to vote for the sake of voting without being an informed voter. So you've got
Is
both
that
of those.
inherent
You've got both of those arguments. You know.
Is that the inherent villain of elections, the uneducated voter?
Right, there you
know?
go. You know. So.
Well, sometimes people just vote for, oh, I know that guy from the place where I go. Well, I'm going to vote for him. I mean,
Whether he's good, bad, or indifferent.
who
that
knows
used to
why people vote for people?
Vote for people that were attractive. I knew that. You know, they liked the way they looked, so they would vote.
But I don't think it would hurt to have a little
So you,
more
like, so you like the
visibility.
idea of professional electors?
No, I think that we should.
I'm
invest,
volunteering
I
to
think
be
we
one,
should
by the
invest a
way.
little bit more in terms of advertising the vote.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Showing, like you said, some of those. Highway type signs, those flashers.
You
whatever
must be
there
able to
are.
rent those for the day or
and
whatever.
If you put those on, 8 to 10 main drags in Brockton, North Quincy Street, Pearl Street, Pleasant
At
Street.
West Junior
all
High,
over,
right
all,
there,
all,
too.
all over the city.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Crescent
Good
Street.
place.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Up in the Brookfield area. The main drags, and then a couple in the middle of the city. Just divide it up in terms of a grid, a block. You know what
too? You know what I think helps too? When people can actually feel they get something tangible out of it. I was talking to John McGarry about this. I think I may have brought it up once or twice, and I brought it up again just in general conversation. But the people that get those I voted stickers, they are just displaying them all over social media. And I mean, it's kind of like a badge of honor. Like, yes, I voted, and you have something to take away. If we could even invest in getting those so that people can actually have a takeaway instead of walking out, with nothing, that might also help people to want to get up and vote.
Giving people, stylish women like you Coach bags when they leave.
It's not a Coach bag, it's a sticker.
If you guys noticed, I haven't been saying a lot. I've been getting some totals.
You're writing
I
feverishly.
I have video to show, but before I do video, and I had my control room ask me if I could give them some numbers. They have Ward 2 ready to go. I got Ward 5 from one of my board members, Joe Miranda, who happens to also be the president of the Cape Verdean Association. Oh, wow. Okay,
Well,
we'll do that when we get some numbers.
Whether that's
So
accurate
let's
or
take
not.
a look at 2. I guess
Yeah,
my
let's
control
look
room
at 2.
has numbers for 2. 2 has a contested mayor's race, contested councilor at large race, and contested city council race. So let's put the numbers up on the screen for Ward 2.
Oh, okay.
Are those final? Is that the whole ward, or is that just one of the precincts?
Unofficial total.
Unofficial total, okay, again, unofficial total, source the elections office, I do hope. Tom Monahan, 628, Angel Cosma, 380. That's all 4 precincts in Ward 2, correct?
So almost 2 to 1.
Almost 2 to 1. I'll be honest with you, Tom's a long-term incumbent. I expected him to do well. Angel's been working really hard,
really
so
has.
I
He
thought
put
it
up
might
good
be
numbers,
a
though.
little closer. Do we have any other Ward 2 numbers for either the mayor's race? We do not?
No, not yet.
Okay. I'm going to give you some numbers, and these are actually official numbers, okay? And I can't get them and text them and do all of that. I'm just going to run by some mayor's race numbers in 2 precincts in Ward 5, just so you know, okay? So we got 5C and 5D in Ward 5, and I didn't give you guys a sheet, so I'll update you on that in a minute. But in 5C, there are 234 for Mayor Carpenter and 202 for Jimmy Pereira.
Wow.
So that's
pretty
pretty
close.
close,
Yeah,
and there are
that's
7 blanks, okay?
Wow.
Okay, so proving our point in Brockton that every vote certainly counts. In Ward 5D, 306 votes for Mayor Carpenter to 288 votes for Jimmy Pereira. That's fairly close to with 13 blanks. So there's not a huge spread. That's just 2 precincts out of 28 total. Okay, I'm going to give you the city council. Do I have city council numbers for Ward 5? I don't know if I wrote those down yet. I'll give you the school committee numbers in Ward 5, just so we have them. And we will update and put the numbers up on the screen. It's not a perfect system. It's kind of hard to do. But the incumbent school committee member in Ward 5, Judy Sullivan, has 2 out of the 2 precincts that she's won. She got 261 votes in Precinct C, and 131 to Nancy DiMacedo, 52 blanks. And then in D, 264 for Judy Sullivan and 205 for Nancy DiMacedo, and 79 blanks. So that's Ward 5, C and D for that. Again, I didn't get the council one yet.
That's a lot of blanks.
Well, blanks,
Ward 5
I have a
always
joke.
has a
I have
lot
a
of
joke with a
blanks.
couple of people with blanks. Okay, in terms of losing to blanks, that's not impossible to do that. I won't identify the person. I'm going to give you 5 C and D for Counselor at Large, just so we can take a glimpse at Counselor at Large. And you guys don't. That's the sheet I forgot to give you. I didn't staple it in there, so I do apologize for that. So I will find it for you. 5, 5. There's 5. There's another
Take
one.
your word for the numbers, Mark.
Yeah, but I want to give it to you so you can keep track of it if you want to. And this is what happens when your stapler runs out of staples. So there you go. Okay, so 5C for Counselor at Large. It is. I'm going to tell you Steve's theory on ballot order for sure. Okay, 5C, 162 for Win Farwell, 234 for Moses Rodriguez, 175 for Robert Sullivan, and 190 for Gene Bradley. Then we go to 38 for Scott Hall, 55 for Bill Hogan, 57 for Gary Keith, 140 for Jacob Tagger, and 726 blanks, okay, which any of those people would have wanted to their credit. 5D, Win Farwell 200, Moses Rodriguez 235, Bob Sullivan 246, Gene Bradley 209, Scott Hall 74, Bill Hogan 74, Gary Keith 94, Jacob Tagger 180, and blanks are 862. Oh my God. So that's, again, a lot of blanks, okay? That's what I have. I want to thank Joe Miranda for sending that over. And I'm going to look in, while you guys are talking about that and chewing over those numbers, we do want to show the video from the other wards too, but why don't we talk that? And I'm going to try to find the city council numbers for Ann Beauregard and for Doris Smith for that race. So Steve, you want to kick it off?
You got an inordinate amount of blanks here, and I think that's because of something that you alluded to earlier, is the bullet vote. If someone goes on there and they have 4 possible choices and they vote for only one candidate, that means that that ballot has 3 blanks on it. So what that tells me when I see that high amount of blanks, a lot of people are bullet voting, a lot of people are only voting for 2 instead of 4. They're not using all 4 of their votes. And that's by design, because if you really like one candidate, they'll encourage you to vote to what they call bullet vote. I mean, in other words, just vote for them and nobody else. That gives them 1 vote against each of their opponents. So that's why you're seeing a very high number of blanks there.
Wow.
And, but it is running kind of according to the way we thought, but Tagger is doing very well from the 8th spot. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
He's still behind, but
anybody's game.
from the 8th spot, he's doing pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jacob Tagger certainly has name recognition. You know, he's certainly been out there. You know, you cannot say that Gene Bradley Darencourt hasn't been out there in the city. I mean, his signs are everywhere. And I've seen him every morning, well, many mornings, at different locations in the city, you know, basically doing a standout. Sometimes just him, sometimes just a couple of people, but he's, you know, I've seen him, you know, over on the east side, I've seen him on the west side, I've seen him on the south side. So, you know,
so
these people definitely working hard.
Yeah.
We have some numbers from Ward 5. We're going to put them up on the screen, and we'll take a look and see what those numbers are at this point. Let's take a look at the numbers for Ward 5. City Council, is that the whole ward? Is that all 4 precincts? Can some totals? Okay, so 1,088 for incumbent Councilor Ann Beauregard to 523. Again, everything's unofficial till they're certified by the Elections Commission and the City Clerk.
Now, before we move on, right? Let's remember Ann's last election.
Yes. 3.
Yeah, she won by how many?
I think it was 3 votes.
3. Official after the recount, it was 3.
If this is close to official, she must feel very good in terms of the difference.
Yeah, but she told Mark on her interview she's not going to run again after this, so.
Oh, here we go. Look at
She
this.
did. Let's take a look at the
School
school
committee.
committee race, and that's the whole ward as well. 952 for incumbent Judy Sullivan to 640 for Nancy D. Macedo, who was a first-time candidate. So that's the Ward 5.
You know, these folks are putting up really good numbers. They're really impressive numbers, especially for some of the first-time candidates. I mean, they're in the race, and I think it has to do with what you said, Tom, about the work ethic. I think they got out there, being visible, making calls, knocking on doors, and again, just the fundamentals of politics. There was actually somebody had asked a question. I didn't see this, but did you all see orange Kit Kats?
Orange Kit Kats?
Yeah,
I did
apparently
not.
in some places in Ward 3, they were giving out orange Kit Kats.
I did not see that.
Okay,
I don't know
I'm
anything
trying
about
to-
it.
Kit Kat fan, though.
We have videos for
5 and 2.
5 and 2 from the field. Is that correct? Okay, so let's take a look and see what we have that I believe Newby Rateau got us out in the field.
What is it, 7:30 in the morning?
It's later than that now, isn't it?
It is 7:35.
Yeah. Oh, is that all it is?
Yeah,
Okay,
is
we're
that all
here
there
for a
is?
while.
Sorry, honey, we're going to be here for a
All right, so Judy, it's been a few years since you've been in office. Tell us about your experience.
2015. Actually, this is my third term running for Ward 5 School Committee, and I have the experience and the education and the background to serve in this position. I've served presently 4 years, and I'm looking forward for your vote, everybody. Ward 5 School Committee, Judy Sullivan.
All right, so Ann, you're running for a second term. What's the experience been like the last couple of years?
Okay, well, let's put it this way. It's extremely hectic. I serve on 3 committees now. My big thing is letting people know. Then they can decide what they think. If they don't know, how can they decide? And that's huge, I believe. And that's what I want to do in the next 2 years. I hope I'm elected. I hope people get out there and vote. I want to thank people that fill out absentee ballots, thank our veterans that give us the right to vote in the first place, and those serving everywhere in this country and abroad. And I want to thank the volunteers that come out and do things. So yes, the idea is to continue. I have a bucket list of different things that we want to take care of, and one of them is we're going to be having an abatement exemption workshop again. Help seniors and those eligible. We don't have all the answers, but we can begin to solve problems. 774-297-4939. I don't have all the answers, but I'll sure try to help you out.
Councilor Monahan, many elections. This one, there was a lot of genuine mutual respect between you and your opponent. Tell us about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, Angel is a really nice guy. I mean, I've worked with him a few times on different issues, and we've always gotten along with no problem at all. I don't like to go negative anyway on anything, but this was a lot easier because even both of us said to each other, what are you going to go negative on? We really do have a mutual respect for another. And he's, like I said, he's a very nice guy, good heart, just like me, basically. But, it was a nice, clean race. It was nice to do this. And, I mean, we helped each other out. If I saw his sign down, I put it up. He saw mine, something down, I'd call him about it. It was actually pretty darn nice. I know there's some other things. There were some other races that had get a little nasty, but we went through this, and I think it's the way probably most elections should go.
Okay, well, that was the Ward 5 and Ward 2 races. We're going to go to a school committee, Ward 5 and 6 and 7, multiple video about the school committees. Are we ready with that, gentlemen? And we'll go to that right now.
I've had opposition in all 3 elections, so that's something that we're used to. But we just went out, ran a campaign, worked hard, like we always have, and so I mean, I guess it really wasn't that different because we did the hard work that we know we need to do to show the voters in Ward 3 that I take this job seriously and I see how important it is.
From an outside looking in, it looks like with the school budget, things are like almost overwhelming going on to the school committee. How do you tackle something like that? I know it takes time. I know it takes advocacy, but what do you do to tackle such a big issue?
There's no one approach to it. What we have to do is work as a team. The school committee, the city council, and the mayor, we all have to work as a team. We need engagement from parents as well, because we've got to make sure that we are loudly heard at the state level. unfortunately, I think we will have to move forward with an equity in education lawsuit to also get the proper funding that we need. From there, it's advocating and leveraging the relationships that the school committee has with our elected officials at the state level, and again, just putting the hours into going through the budget piece by piece, like we did this year, and finding ways to make it work.
Excellent. Anything finally, your supporters? Anything you'd like to say to them?
Yeah, I want to thank them for first of all the last 2 years, the opportunity to serve. It's been a lot of work, but it's been work that I've enjoyed and that I'm proud to have been able to do. I look forward to having their support today so that I can continue on. I think we've got a lot of things started, but there's a lot more to do in the next 2 years, and I'm excited about the opportunity to keep going.
All right, so Shirley, you got a team here that's been with you for...
It's Joyce, Jay.
Oh my God. I just called Joyce Azak, Shirley.
I just want to thank everyone for their support. We've been door knocking, meeting some amazing residents in Ward 6, and it's nice to finally, put faces with a lot of our residents. I want to thank my team. My mom is my #1 supporter. She's just been there for me from day one. And my sister, my nieces, my brother, my whole family. Thank you so much. Thank you to the residents of Ward 6 for your support. If re-elected, I will not disappoint you. I will keep doing the hard work that I've been doing for the past almost 2 years. Thank you. Vote AZAC if you haven't already voted, but I believe it's going to be on later.
And then finally, I do have to ask about the chairs.
Oh, yes,
tell
yes.
us about the chair.
These chairs have been through quite a few election days, so they're they're pretty well known by a lot of people that come out here. So they're my good luck chairs.
What's different about this election cycle is we have a greater energy around us. We have a lot more support, a lot more groundswell. We realize that the position we're in with the budget deficit that we're in, that we need experienced leadership in there with, like myself with 2.5 decades of financial experience to help right this ship with our budget deficit. And we need people in there who are going to not just shine a seat, but be active and be active on the State House level as well.
The political climate in the city, explain what you think it is right now.
Unfortunately, I think the political climate right now is a little too divisive. I think we need to figure out ways to come together cohesively and collaboratively to find ways that we can get together and find common ground. I think right now there's a lot of divisiveness, and it's a shame, because I think at the end, we're all in this for the same reason, for public service.
And then you've had a lot of supporters along the way in the past several years. Anything that you would like to say to them, keeping in mind that when this airs, the polls will be closed?
Well, I want to thank everybody, no matter who it is, for coming out and vote today, because that is what breaks this whole election cycle, is getting out to vote. And you can't complain if you don't come out and vote. You need to come out and vote and show that you support whatever candidate is, whether it's myself, my opponent, or whatever candidate is. You got to get out and vote and exercise that right.
And I noticed this is a family affair today.
Oh yeah, I have my son here, I have my wife here, friends, family. Unfortunately, my daughter is at college right now. I didn't want her to miss classes, so she's at UMass Amherst enjoying herself, and but she sent me well and sent me best wishes. So we'll see. We'll hope for 8:30 tonight. Let's hope for a win.
Yay! Woo! Woo! Hooray! Woo!
And we're back here live in the studio, and believe it or not, I have a live candidate, Gene Bradley, Doronacort. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You must be tired. It's been a long day.
Well, I'm exhausted. That's the best way to put it. But I love it. It's been 10 months since we've been doing this, and I could not be more happy or proud than the people of Brockton. And I think the result is about to come out, and we'll see what happens. So I would like to thank the Brockton Cable Access for the opportunity they give all of us to expose our platform and, of course, to talk about the issues. So, I hope, I'll be one of the fourth to serve on the City Council at large coming up January.
Well, so far we have results in 2 precincts in Ward 5. We have C and D, and you are the number 4 you are the fourth candidate, the three incumbents, and then yourself, and then I think Jacob Tagger is behind you in that. But it's 2 out of 28, and as you know, you got to go all the way through and count all the votes in this city. We've had 3-vote elections, 6-vote elections, 1-vote elections. But you've certainly been out there. You've been out on the campaign trail. You have a very enthusiastic team behind you, for sure. People that you went to school with, family, friends, things like that. Has the whole process humbled you?
Yes, 100%. And what I've learned so far is that sometimes in life people will come and go, but the folks who truly believe in you will never leave you. And that's one thing I've learned so far. My family has been there for me. Some of my close friends have been there for me. And of course, some people have left, but if there's one thing that I've learned is that you have to be you, and don't let anybody try to change yourself. Because I think that, it's one thing to put your name on the ballot, but it's another thing to be, respectful to whomever is running for office. So far, I said it. I believe I said it to you. I was going to run a positive campaign. It's been 10 months. It's over now, so we will not change it. And I'm grateful for each and every single person who came and helped me out. Yeah.
Do you feel that your time here in Brockton and in this country is part of the American dream? You have your American flag on your lapel.
I do.
You came here out of tragedy in Haiti. You lost your mom.
Yes.
Okay. And you came here and you went through the whole process. You became a citizen. I think you kicked off your campaign on the 1-year anniversary of that.
I did.
You're proud to be an American.
I do. I'm proud to be an American for so many reasons. I mean, when I take a look at my father, who's been in this country for the past 27 years, I think my dad has demonstrated the ability not just to live in this country, but to work for the benefits of this country. And that's what I would like people to understand. It's not just we as those people or that, but it's we as immigrants. We come from somewhere else, but we landed here. What we do, we embrace the system or assimilate and dive into it. And that's what I've been able to do. And you know what? And I think Brockton, like I said, regardless what happened in this election, Brockton is one of the best places that I've ever lived. Yeah.
Now, I know you're going to go talk to your supporters. Yes. What are you going to give us a preview of what you're going to say? You're going over to Gino's, good food, good place to go. I hope we get out of here early enough so I can come and say hi.
Well, I just want to thank each and every single one of them for taking the time to help me out. And of course, I want to thank my dad, as you know, I love so much. And of course, my sister, Dina DeWinanco, she's been there for me. I don't have a mom, but she's my mother, my oldest sister. And of course, my surrogate mom, Wilth O'Brien Denley. These are the folks who know me best when I'm up and when I'm down. But so far, I think, my supporters kind of like know what I stand for. And I think that's why they chose to embrace me. One of my former professors, he's in charge of my campaign. I mean, I think the guy truly understands that. I'm not playing game, but I'm grateful for the opportunity that this country has given me. I'm grateful for everyone in Brockton, and I'm grateful for what we can do. And I think it's going to be an amazing process. If I got in, great. We'll see how it goes.
We'll count the numbers for the rest of the night. Yes. Thanks for being here, and
of
don't
course.
run away too fast because I'm going to have to take that mic.
I told you I was going to come.
But thank you. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for taking the time. I'm going to kick it back over to Steve Foote, who is going to run. I believe we may have some numbers in one of the school committee races. Steve, take it away.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for that interview, by the way. And I think we have some numbers on the Ward 7 school committee race, and we're going to put those up. And I'm going to kick this over to Ward 1 school committee man, Tom Minicello, for his comments. Tom.
Well, according to the board, Timothy Sullivan, 810, and Ray Henningsen, 590. All I can say is that I know that Tim Sullivan is very active with regard to the PTAs. He's very attentive, and he's always in attendance. Ray Henningsen obviously was a former member of the committee, and he's been basically running for the position since the day he lost the position. No one can certainly question his desire, to basically, reattain that seat. But the bottom line is, Tim's been doing the job, and the question is, has Tim, in my opinion, done anything to have the voters say, you know what, we definitely need a change. We definitely, don't like the way he operates, or he's not attentive to us. He doesn't return phone calls. I personally think that if you're going to unseat an incumbent, I mean, it's very rare that it happens, first of all, in Brockton anyways. But I really believe that there has to be some sort of underlying discontent. There has to be an issue. There has to be some item that people are up in arms about or don't agree with. And, absent that, as long as, you are attentive, you're doing the job, you're out there in the ward, I don't know what to say. One thing I will say about Ray is an animal of social media. He's always on social media. He's dogged with it. He's always on it. Now, again, social media can be a good thing. But in some cases, social media turns certain people on and it turns certain people off in terms of the message or whatever the item is that you are hashing out or discussing. So I'm not going to, I don't pay attention to, what's going on with regard to that particular race and all the social media that goes on with it. But is that a factor? I don't know. But I can tell you that I know Ray is definitely an animal of social media.
So
Tim is not, and Tim is not,
Right.
So, again, it can help you, and in some cases can it hurt you. So, I guess Ray's going to have to look at and determine, is social media and what I'm doing on it helping me, or is it hindering me?
If I can, Steve, just to that point, and having served in office and continuing to still serving now, there are some people that will target you and try to kind of pull you in to this negativity and to kind of trap you and get you to say certain things or to express certain opinions. And you're right. And I mean, again, I have nothing against Ray. I think he's a great guy. He's got a great family. He's
and he's raised money. He's done fundraising. His heart's in the right place.
Right.
But I've told him when he was on the committee a long time ago, be careful of social media.
And he served well when he was on. He did very well. And again, that's the thing. And I do notice that he comments on everything. And sometimes you really have to have that filter to either disengage or to kind of let it run its cycle of 2 or 3 days or so, and then it's over. And that's what I learned. That's why I don't get into Twitter wars. I'm not, I just don't do that. It's not something I want to do with my time. I can't be glued to my phone all day looking at the next comment or to figuring this out or having full-blown conversations and arguments on social media that then people can take your words that you may have said either in anger or you may have said kind of just off the cuff and then use it against you. So, again, these numbers actually, I thought it would be a little closer. I'm actually kind of surprised at this Ward 7 school committee that it's not a little closer.
I thought it was going to be close. I thought it was going to be much closer than this.
Well, let me ask you, do you think that now Tim Sullivan has a connection to the housing authority? Do you think that, and we see from our 6 o'clock numbers that the Bel Air high rise and the Sullivan Towers, big turnouts there. Do you think that's what?
I don't think that hurts. So with the combination of certainly having Tim Sullivan has been on the board of the Brockton Housing Authority for a number of years. He's the chairman of the board, and I believe he has a very good relationship with many of the people in those high rises. He's very attentive. He's hands-on. So I certainly would think that is very advantageous. Mm-hmm. But again, to Shana's point, social media. How, if you're going to, every time someone says something, if you're going to go into a tit for tat, half the people are going to like what you say, and I would say half the people aren't going to like what you're going to say.
Well, I just got word that there is a polling location that they continue to they haven't been able to reconcile the numbers. It's 903. We're in for a long night.
Well, we have some, but we do have some numbers, and we're going to put them up on the screen. We have mayor's numbers. Okay. I don't know which precinct or which ward was this. Maybe we're missing one, but those are the numbers in the mayor's race. Okay?
Wow.
So far, and I don't know if it's 27 out of 28 precincts or exactly what it is. They're unofficial results through the Elections Commission via BCA, but right now the numbers are 6653 for incumbent Mayor Bill Carpenter to 5550. So you are talking 1103 is the spread.
Yep.
Did anybody see that?
I didn't.
I
I would
didn't
never
think it would be
have
that
guessed it was
close.
going to be that close.
That
That
there,
close.
if he comes in that close,
Right.
Pereira, that missed debate could very well have cost him the election.
Well, I would venture to agree with you. I've been kind of quiet and silent
Yeah.
on the debate
You're
because
right.
I don't like how that all played out, but I will be a gentleman and refrain from talking about it. Again, you have, Tom said it well earlier before Mayor Carpenter was the mayor, he was on the radio.
Very
He was a talk show
popular
host.
radio
He was
show
a very
host.
popular radio show, and he very much got in people's faces on that radio show. He also was the voice of Brockton High School sports,
Absolutely.
so people were familiar with that. And he also wasn't a bad guy to go to sidelines and go
He's a
have a
bartender
beer
there.
with. So we'll see if that precinct you're talking about enters the race,
Makes a
because
difference,
we
yeah.
all know close mayor's races in the city as well. Okay, and close other races in the city. We also have other numbers, so I'd love to see if we can, what else we can put up. Just put something up, and we'll read off the numbers and see what we have next. Let's take a look and see what the other numbers are. We have Ward 2 City Council. I think we actually did those numbers, but I'll go over them one more time. Tom Monahan, the incumbent city councilor in Ward 2, looks like he's going to be reelected, 709 to Angel Cosmos, 378.
Well, I have a question, because the last time we did that, it was 628, Tom, 380 for Angel. So Angel lost a vote?
I don't know, but those are the numbers we're getting at this point. Again, if you're reading them off the little tiny cards that people are shooting us numbers, it might be. But here's Ward 3 City Council, and that looks like it's a close one. I'm hoping we have all the
Really
numbers, but it's 1173 for incumbent Dennis Anieri and Tina Cardoso 902. That one I actually did think was going to be one of the closer races in the
Thought it'd
city.
be closer than this,
Okay, and it could have been closer. We have Ward 3 School Committee, incumbent Mark D'Agostino 1196 to Steve Kelly's 703. We have Ward 5 City Council. I think we did that one. We ran those numbers, but 1088 for incumbent Councilor Ann Beauregard reelected. And we have Judy Sullivan and 952 to Nancy DiMacedo 640. And I think those are the Ward 6 City Council. First time we got these.
Jack Lally.
Incumbent Councilor Jack Lally 1172 to Joanne Zygmunt 638. Okay, and I believe that may be all of the numbers. That
Joyce
we have
Azak, that's
at
a
this moment.
huge.
Joyce Azak, sorry.
That's a huge
1266,
disparity.
incumbent School committee woman Joyce Azak to Felicia Chalmers, newcomer 464. And we did run down those numbers in the Ward 7 race. You guys were talking about it when I disappeared to be in the other room. Tim Sullivan 810 to Ray Henningsen 590. I know that was a very hard-fought campaign. Both of those candidates were out there sign holding, knocking on doors, doing everything. I do think that the Housing Authority makes a difference because you have Sullivan Towers. Gee, no correlation there, right? And you also have Bel Air Towers in Ward 7 as well. So Housing Authority access is
They're both
is really
voting
important.
places, so you might as well vote.
We do have videos. We can digest the numbers. Let's digest them. We got a couple of videos. We worked real hard out in the field, so I want to take a look at what we have. And I think we have 3 city council races that we were running down. I'm not sure if they're all linked together, but let's take a look at Ward 3 this morning, 7:30. And by the way, that video I introed before was done by Jay Miller at 7:30 in the morning, not by Newbie Rateau. Newbie's out there now. So let's take a look at the Ward 3 City Council clip that we looked at from this morning's. It's at about 7:30, 8:30 in the morning. Let's take a look at that.
All right, Councilor Ianieri, he's gone through many elections. This one, Any differences or similarities from years past?
Very different, to be truthful with you. You know, it's a little bit more unique than from other races I've been involved in, and I go back to the late 70s when I first started campaigning. But yeah, I found it to be very different this time around, and even different as much as you know, with my opponent, and never wanting to come and really sit and talk and do a debate for him and talk about issues, and you know, I think, which is a great experience for both of us when you're together, because you talk about the different things that are happening in the city, and great learning experience for somebody that's new. So, yeah, I guess it was very different, to be truthful with you.
Mm-hmm. The political climate in the city. I've asked this of all candidates that I've interviewed. And again, some interesting opinions on that. What is your opinion on the political climate?
The climate is also a little different, and people that I've spoken to when I was out campaigning door to door have a great concern for the fact that they see the city being divided, which they're not happy with. They don't want to see us in a division. They want to see us unified as one big city, as we are. And I think that's something that has to be worked at in the next couple of years, to be truthful with you, because if not, we're going to start to lose it even more so than what you're seeing now, and it concerns me, and I know it concerns some of my other colleagues as well. So it's something that has to be worked at, no doubt.
And on a high note, final question is your supporters. They've been with you for many, many years. Anything you'd like to say to them?
Well, I can only say this to them, that I hope that they'll be with me at 8:05 p.m. tonight, which I think that they will be. And you hit it right on the head there when you said it. They've been with me for so many years that I don't anticipate that they're just going to walk away from me. I've done my job, done it well. I'm experienced, qualified, dedicated my 14 years to Ward 3, and I'll do the same thing for the next 2 years. So looking forward to a positive ending to all of this tonight.
Hi, Nana. Hi, Mama. Hi.
Tina, first time running. What's the experience been like for you?
It has been amazing. I've learned so much. I've run into so many interesting people. And it's just been an amazing, amazing, amazing run.
Have you learned anything new about the city since you started to run?
Tons of things. A lot of new things. A lot of what people, I'm sorry. A lot of what people are passionate about, what they care about. It's been interesting to hear what my constituents care about. And the changes that we want are all pretty similar. People want safer streets. They want cleaner streets, and it's been very good to hear that we're all different but the same in a lot of ways.
Have you learned anything about yourself? This is kind of a philosophical, deep question, but have you learned anything new about yourself?
My strength, my resilience. I always thought I was a strong person, but this campaign made me really see how strong I am.
Then finally, anything you'd like to say to your supporters? For all the help that they've given you.
I'm sorry, the beeping is distracting me. And it's nice out here with the kids and everything too, so it's exciting. I've had a lot of support, people from all over, not just Brocktonians, people from Boston and other places, family, friends. I thank them all, the folks that have come out to campaign and to hold signs and pass out flyers and just calling me to give me that, go Tina. It's just been amazing. And I thank them all for their support.
And we are back live here in BCA Studios, election 2017. The races for mayor, councilor at large, school committee, and city council. We do have numbers in in the councilor at large race, and let's take a look on the screen. We have in the number 1 spot.
Bob Sullivan.
No.
Yes.
Oh, we do. So I'm sorry. 6111. Thank you. I'm sorry. I was looking at the 5s. Second would be Moses Rodriguez, 5616, followed by Wynn Farwell, 5376, and Gene Bradley, Durannon Court, 5250. Again, not ballot order, but the 3 incumbents and Gene, who was the strongest. And the next one after that is Jacob Tagger, who had run for mayor, 3,491, followed up by Gary Keith, 2,191, and the last two, 7 and 8, Bill Hogan, 1545, and Scott Hall, 1520. So those look like they're at least 27 out of the 28 precincts if we do have that problem over
Right.
at Goddard Road and Ward 2. So those are the numbers we're getting from City Hall. Do we have more numbers as well coming up?
While that's happening, that looks about right. You know, it looks as you probably could have predicted. And I actually thought, I think I was talking to you.
Yeah.
I have to eat some words because I actually thought that Gene Bradley would come in like second. I really did, and especially with all his hard work and the visibility that he'd had throughout the campaign, I thought that would garner him a little bit more. But you know, coming in so very close to win, who you know was a police sergeant, a former mayor, city council incumbent, to come that close his first time, you know, not even being in the United States for a decade. That's an excellent showing. And
we're going to get.
Like I said, he was out there constantly.
Right.
I saw him absolutely.
Okay, so let me tell you what my floor director just gave me. We have all the numbers. But before we run through all the numbers, I want to show a little bit more video. Okay. Worked hard out in the field. So let's show Ward, if we can find Ward 4 City Councilor. That was an open seat. Paul Studensky retired. We want to thank him for his service, his longtime service to the city as a city councilor and as the police chief and a police officer. But Susan DeCastro and Derek Barros ran for that seat. Let's take a look at the video that Jay shot this morning, and then we'll give you the numbers.
2 years ago, I ran for councilor at large, my first time running for public office anywhere. And of course, you know that's a citywide election. And talk about taking a big bite of the elephant. It was just amazing and overwhelming, and at the same time wonderful, because I met so many people. If I didn't know that Brockton was a big city before, I knew it at that point 2 years ago. So many people, and again, rediscovered most of our neighborhoods are beautiful. Most of our people are lovely, concerned citizens, don't quite know what to do about the city's problems, but want to stay here, want the city to be good. And it's the same, I relearned the same thing this time, running in just Ward 4. Ward 4, beautiful neighborhoods, lovely people. Concerned citizens read the newspaper either online or in paper form, and just want Ward 4 to be what it was 25 years ago, you know, in terms of stature, in terms of quality of life.
And the political climate in the city, what's your take on it?
It's changing. It's really changing. And in many ways, that's like a breath of fresh air, because people are getting involved who aren't necessarily from the same group of people who typically were involved. That's very healthy and very good for our city. I mean, look at me. I have no machine behind me. I'm just a concerned citizen who is at the time in life where I can do more, and I want to do more. I just think this is all really healthy in the long run. But it's change, and people naturally are reluctant to change and to embrace change. We don't have any choice, though.
And then finally, anything you'd like to say to your supporters?
I want to say thank you to all my supporters. It's been delightful. People from all over the city have helped me in this Ward 4 race, but so many people from Ward 4 have stepped up, calling me, stopping me in the supermarket. What can I do to help you? Put your sign in my lawn, make some phone calls for you. It's been very gratifying and humbling that so many people, that was Vi Packard, our former Ward 4 city councilor, a terrific city councilor. It's been very gratifying that so many people are willing to step up and help me. This is a fine city. I'd like to remind so many people outside of Brockton of that.
Tell us about the experience when you first decided to run up until now.
The feeling's been the same. I'm a little bit more nervous right now than I was before. I feel it's been the same. We've been consistent. I'm kind of a person who just pulls the trigger. I just kind of just sat there and was like, you know, I dwelled on it for a little bit and I said, we're doing this. Didn't tell anyone. Called my girlfriend, called my couple people that I thought in my campaign, said, I'm doing this, you with me or not? And we're here now, so.
What have you learned about yourself?
Oh, I've learned that this campaign's pushed me to my limit, to the limit that you contemplate, you know, why you're doing this, your energy level. I got a lot of stuff going on besides the campaign. And you learn, you know, the caring for people just went up and up and up. from every door that I knocked, it got better. It was kind of got to the point where it was like a weird addiction where I'd wake up like, I gotta go knock on some doors. I gotta go.
When you knock on a door, we hear that all the time. When you knock on a door, what happens? So you knock on the door, somebody answers. In general, how was people's responses?
Really good. Most of the people, I've gotten some of the older crowd that, you know, they're older, you know, sometimes they can't make it to the door, so I just leave something there, or they say they can't come. For the most part, I've got people that have said, you know, I'm happy that you're here. You're one of the few people that have come here, you know, and just on that basis, you have my support. I've met a lot of people who've had, you know, brought me in for coffee, people I've never met. People have brought me in for, you know, I'm not a big coffee drinker, so they give me some tea. So it's been majority, 90% positive, 90% in the right direction. You get a few bad apples, but you don't let them ruin your day.
Right. And then finally, when this goes on TV, the polls will be closed, but is there anything that you'd like to say to your supporters?
Thank you. It's been a long road. A lot of people thought, you know, we wouldn't make it here, that we couldn't make it happen. Our campaign has shown that anything's possible. No matter where you were before, you know, you can be a better person the next day. So I wake up every day with the same mentality, be the change you want to see in the world. You know, and I am the change for Brockton, and some other candidates are as well. So come out, vote. If not, please stay tuned, because we have some projects coming to the city of Brockton coming very soon. So this is not the end. This is just the beginning.
And we want to thank both of the candidates, Susan Nicastro and Derek Barros. We actually have the numbers up on the screen. Susan Nicastro is the new city councilor in Ward 4, 1,029 votes to Derek Barros' 656 votes. That's a 373 vote spread in Ward 4. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the other races. I just want to show you a little bit of video that we have from Ward 6 from earlier this morning. I know we ran down the numbers, but we did get to catch up with both incumbent Jack Lally and his challenger Joanne Zygmunt. And let's take a look at what we have from Ward 6 from this morning.
Thanks, Mark. It is a busy day today here in Ward 6. We're specifically at the Brookfield School. Ward 6 is a hotbed of activity today, as we have many candidates here. We'll interview a bunch of them, and then we're going to try to travel around town and meet up with some other people that are running for elected office. Let's get to it.
No, sorry, I was on the radio, you know, down in Taunton. Yeah. They said he predicted those.
Number 8 on the ballot. Number 8.
Donuts are good. We managed to hit every single street in the ward again. You know, still getting out there, still covering the ground. You know, you can't take anything for granted. You can't say, "Oh, I've got this." You know, you can't stop working. You gotta keep working. It's a little different, you know, being the incumbent, but I like it. You know, I'm able to point to a record that I'm proud of. You know, we've gotten a lot of things accomplished. You know, in a really good amount of time. And so I'm proud of the work we've done over the last 2 years, and you know, I'm very grateful to people for voting me into this position in the first place. And you know, I really do hope that they carry on that faith. You know, that they continue to support me, and we can continue to get the job done. We've laid the bedrock for a lot of stuff. You know, just as we're building off of things that have been, you know, that somebody's gotten the ball rolling a while ago. You know, we're laying the groundwork for a bunch of other stuff. Overall, things are getting better, but if something starts to get worse, that's why we're here. You know, you call your counselors, and we work to solve it. We work to address it.
I appreciate that Jack has so much response. I appreciate when people come up to me and tell me how wonderful they think he's doing. I think he's doing an amazing job. He works hard. You know, from behind the scenes, he's working hard all the time.
I think both of my parents get a kick out of people thinking that they're my siblings.
What have you learned about yourself during this election cycle?
Wow, I've learned a lot. I have learned, I think first and foremost, that there are amazing ways to get involved in Brockton's community, both at a very local neighborhood level and also in the city. So I feel like the skills that I've always thought applied professionally, like business development and entrepreneurship, I can actually find ways to use those in the community. And win or lose today, I feel like that. You know, I feel like I found so many avenues and met so many amazing people that live here that this is just the beginning, and I'm going to continue to become more and more involved. And a lot of the issues that people in Ward 6 are concerned about are the same issues that I've always faced as a resident in Ward 6. Things like drug dealing right in front of my face, things like illegal dumping. I have a little forest near my home that gets dumped in all the time. So personally, I've gone through them. Now, having done so much door knocking, I've learned, I think, a lot more in terms of how much these problems are actually prevalent in the community, but also how awesome Ward 6 is. I mean, there's so many people that I've heard people refer to it as God's country because it's quiet, it's residential. A lot of people have stayed here for a long time, and their kids have moved into parents' houses and things as well too. So I never really studied it so much as experienced it before I started running. Everybody's amazing, and will even if they're not a supporter of mine, they'll still take a minute to listen to what I have to say. And ask a couple questions, and I'll ask them a couple questions about their concerns. So I genuinely enjoy it. Everybody at the start told me it was going to take over your life. It has taken over not just my life, but the life of, you know, all my supporters. My treasurer Deb is here. My cousin Mark, who was never into politics before, has come out now and, you know, started me door knocking and distributing leaflets and things as well. So it was definitely a team effort, and I just want to thank them all very much. I wouldn't be here without them today.
And we're back here live in studio, and we know we already gave you the numbers, but we're going to run them down one more time. Incumbent City Councilor Jack Lally was elected for a second term, 1,272 votes, to challenger Joanne Zygmunt at 538 votes. I am going to go to Ward 6 resident Steve Foote, who lives on Sully Road, right around the corner from the Brookfield School, and ask you for your opinion on this
I've
race.
lived in Ward 6 for 58 years, and so the thing that surprised me here was that the numbers that Jacob Taggart put up out of the 8th spot in the Council at Large race, I was surprised that he didn't get into that race against in the primary. And I think he would have definitely ended up against Lally in the final, and he may have won had he run in Ward 6. Why he would choose to run a citywide campaign as opposed to running just in the ward, I don't know, but he might be rethinking that today.
Maybe you're starting the next election cycle right now. I don't know. But
I don't know.
So those numbers were pretty dramatic as far as I can see.
Yeah.
And Joanne also had the backing of John Drazinskis, who she edged out. He actually supported her in this election, and his numbers didn't necessarily go over to her numbers.
Yeah, well, she's a first-time candidate. She's well qualified, but first time out, it's tough. Especially, you know, you're going against an incumbent. He's kind of cute. He's kind of funny. People like that stuff. They vote for him, and you know.
Well, I don't think that's fair to dismiss him as cute and you know, people think it's funny. He's doing a good job. Having worked with him for his first term and looking forward to what he's going to do in his second term, I think that the people of Ward 6, they see something in him and they feel a connection with him that his representation is what they want, clearly, because, I mean, his numbers were more than 2 to 1 on her.
No,
So
that was an excellent outcome.
I'm not trying to say he's not doing a good job. I'm just saying he has a unique presence that, you know, people remember and
he
stuff
said
like
cute
that.
and funny.
Well, I think
Tom, let Tom weigh in. Tom is totally unbiased. He lives in Ward 1 with me. Okay.
Okay. Well, first of all,
What did he say on social media?
That's an incredible showing. That's an excellent win.
Yeah.
Jack Lally should be very pleased with himself. I think he's a very likable person. I think the voters in his ward find him to be very credible. He's always asking, when I see him on the city council meetings, good questions. He does not look like a deer caught in the headlights. He's very competent, professional. He's a very polite young man.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that if there is no issue that becomes a huge controversy in his ward, where people are up in arms about a decision he's made or a vote he's taken, or he gets complacent and doesn't answer phone calls and is basically unattentive to the needs of his ward, I think that Jack Lally will be on the city council for that ward for a long time. I know you said that Jacob Taggart may have had a good run at that spot. I don't think Jacob Taggart could beat Jack Lally.
No, his
Absolutely
chance was
not.
2 years ago when Michelle
Absolutely
left
not
the
in this
seat. Right.
race. No way.
It's definitely all about timing. There's no question that it's all about timing.
Jack Lally's very well liked. He's doing well. He's I think he should be very pleased with himself. He's doing the job, and he's very professional about it. What did you call him? Cute? What was the term?
Cute and funny.
I think he's likable. That's what I think.
Well,
very
that's
likable.
I like your
likable.
word, competent.
Competent, likable.
Yeah,
A very, to me, he's a thoughtful young man.
Well, one thing about Ward 6 too is when we do elect the councilor there, the councilor usually stays there for a long time.
Yeah.
Donna Daly was there for more than 10 years. Dubois was there for more than 10 years. Now he's on his second term. So
so long as he's doing a good job, I think he will be there for a long time.
One thing
and
I
he's
want
doing
to,
a good job.
One thing I want to say is that I commend the young people that have decided to run for office. Everybody says young people don't get involved. We saw it with him. We saw it with Derek Barros. There are different people across the city that, usually, I got involved at a young age. I never had the courage really to run till an older age, okay? And I give them a lot of credit. We have all the numbers for you, and then we can talk a little bit more. We're at about 9:30, which is great. Let's run the numbers up on the screen and take a look at all the races that we have. The mayor's race, it looks like incumbent Mayor Bill Carpenter has been reelected, 6,653. Again, not sure about that little technical issue in Ward 2. Jimmy Pereira, 5,550. Maybe want to play that number in the lottery, I don't know. Let's take a look at the councilor at large race again. I know we ran down the numbers before, and I'm sorry I was corrected. Robert Sullivan, once again, tops the ticket, 6,111 votes. Followed by number 2, Moses Rodriguez, 5,616 votes. Wynn Farwell, 5,376 votes. So the 3 incumbents are the top 3 vote getters. And it looks like Jean Bradley Duranencourt has come in 4th and is the 4th councilor at large, 5,250 votes. Followed by Jacob Taggart, 3,491 votes. Gary Keith, 2,191 votes. Bill Hogan, 1,545 votes. And Scott Hall, 1,520 votes. I'd be curious to see at some point what the blanks were in the councilor at large race, because that's where you talk about the bullet vote. Let's go through the different wards at this point in time. We have the Ward 2 City Council, Tom Monahan being reelected, 709 votes to Angel Cosma at 378. I will kick it next to Steve to go over the next set of numbers.
Okay, in Ward 3, incumbent councilor Dennis Ianieri, 1,173 votes. Challenger Tina Cardozo,
On that one, Steve.
902 votes. Tom?
Just like you basically said with regard to the debate, with regard to the mayoral debate, this is a situation where there was never a debate.
Right.
It's a very close election. The question would be, would a debate with a powerful performance by the challenger, what would the numbers have done? You never know.
Yep, you never know.
So in this case, the challenger, I don't believe, did herself any favors by not presenting herself to the voters, so that they could basically see, compare and contrast the styles and make a determination. Again, like you said before, if you're going to challenge, Dennis Ianieri is a very seasoned veteran of this city.
Established.
Absolutely. He's been on the school committee. He'll tell you every time I see him, 20 years.
Anybody who listens?
Yep, 20 years.
Yeah.
And he's certainly been very attentive to his people in his ward for a number. Shana, how many years was he?
14.
16.
Okay,
This is 16 going
yeah, so you're not going to challenge and win by being tentative or timid. So to me, if you're going to try to go make it over the top, you really need to compare and contrast, and there should have been a debate. And if I was the challenger, that's what I would have done.
Okay, we're going to go to video that we have in the mayor's race that just came into the studio. Let's take a look at what Newbie has sent us.
Jody Rogers.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm going in a minute. You got me on the way in.
Bill, it's your first re-elected, first time, 3 terms after Jack Yunus, actually.
Right.
So congratulations on that. Talk about your thoughts on the re-election today, third term.
I'm ecstatic, and I'm humbled by the results. I appreciate the confidence that the voters of this city have shown in me for the 3rd time. You know, it was only 4 years ago that we were here with our first win. So I guess that's part of the issue with the 2-year term, is that I've been elected for the 3rd time, although I've served less than 4 years as mayor. But the fact of the matter is that a majority of the voters of this city showed their confidence in the work that we've done so far, that they've given me their vote of confidence to continue the work that we're doing. And I appreciate it. I'm humbled by it, and I will continue to work just as hard, if not harder, to make Brockton the type of city that we all want to live in.
What type of city you want to see in the next 2 years?
I just want to continue the work we've already begun. I want to continue to stabilize neighborhoods. I want to continue to fight crime. I want to continue to fight the opioid crisis. We will continue to create jobs for the city so that people can earn a livable wage. We will continue to fight for the children in our public school system. And we're going to continue to make Brockton into a model 21st century city that I believe it can be. We've turned the economy of the city around. We're on the verge of the most exciting, I believe, 2 years in the history of the city, particularly in the downtown. This downtown will look significantly different and better 2 years from now than it does today because of the work we've done for the past 3.5 years.
Congratulations, Bill.
Great to see you guys. All right, thank you.
And we are back here live in BCA Studios. You just heard from incumbent Mayor Bill Carpenter, re-elected to his 3rd term. We've had the 2 previous mayors that only got elected twice. They didn't make it to their 3rd term, and prior to that, Jack Yunus served for a total of 10 years. So congratulations to Mayor Bill Carpenter, and all I can say to Jimmy Pereira is he put up a really good fight. The spread is a close spread. 5,550 votes, or 1,103 in between. Okay, a lot of hard-fought campaigns. You saw those campaigns out there. You saw the bigger-than-life posters, signs. You know, that's the wave of things to come. Even Tom got into the act. Tom had a couple of big signs out there, one in a very prominent location on Pearl Street. I like that sign,
Well,
Tom.
no one can say I didn't put in some effort.
Absolutely, absolutely. So any comments on the mayor's race?
Well, with regard to the numbers being so close, you basically have to say to yourself that the people who voted in the primary, a lot of them broke for Jimmy Pereira instead of going in the direction of the mayor.
Well, if you look at the primary numbers, Tom, the number of votes of all the challengers added up to 11 votes less than what Mayor Carpenter had. And it was a pathetic turnout, 9.5%. Now you're over the, I don't know what the final number is going to be, but at 6 o'clock, as we know, it was 22%. So, you know, they were out there working hard all day. We had good weather today, usually bad weather, as we all know.
It was
tends
cold.
To be,
it was cold, but,
I
I think what really pushed the mayor over the top is that he was not taking this for granted in any way, shape, or form. He was out there. He had a very well-established and smooth operation in terms of a team behind him. Had he not taken this seriously, the numbers could have gone differently. And he took this very seriously.
Well, again, not to keep harping on it, but the missed debate is absolutely critical with a 1,000-vote margin. I mean, that would have given Pereira a chance to go head-to-head with the mayor.
One last shot.
Even if the mayor boxed his ears in, so to speak, he still would have, if he could have made a good showing, if he could have stood up for himself and it looked mayoral, he could have, that would have been replayed on BCA numerous times. More people in the city, instead of, like you alluded to earlier, you didn't even know Jimmy Pereira before this election. people would have got to know him a little bit. It was an absolute devastating mistake that he missed that debate. That was terrible.
I agree. I mean, I can't really add a whole heck of a lot. The numbers speak for themselves. And, you know, Jimmy should be proud of his first time out coming that close to a really established, well-liked incumbent mayor going on to his third term with the machine that he had behind him. But he also needs to maybe do some, I'd suggest he do some self-reflection and take a look at that and maybe take your advice if he's looking to run again for another seat in the future, that any opportunity missed to get your message out to the voters is a nail in your own coffin, you know, at this particular point. And again, we've spoken about it several times. There are several races where that has happened, and I think the outcomes, they reflect that. They reflect, you know, people don't know who you are. If they just see a sign or see your face, that's not what's going to get them to mark, you know, to bubble in your name when they close that curtain behind them. So they have to be able to see you. They have to identify with you. They have to be able to hear what you have to say. They have to be able to trust what you have to say and to trust your ability to go into that chamber and to speak for them. Signs don't do that. They don't relay that. So, you know, it was definitely a missed opportunity. You know, it's like a spent arrow. And I think all of these candidates who refused to debate their competitors, it shows. The only one where it didn't is in school committee Ward 6. So
And 7.
And 7. Okay, so and 7. But again, you have the incumbent factor. So they were already,
The interesting part of the lack of debates was these are the challengers not wanting to debate.
Right.
Usually it's the incumbent that doesn't want to debate because they don't want to be called on their record. But for the challenger, especially the challenger that doesn't have great name recognition, to pass up free TV time that's going to be run and aired over and over and over the week before the election. It's just a major
And not only
mistake.
that, but we gave everybody the links to their debates and to their individual interviews so they could put it up on their own social media. Let's go back to social
And
media.
not to mention,
again.
Mike, the fact that if one of the candidates fails to debate, that gives their opponent the whole time slot to
riff,
basically
to
make
riff
an
on, yeah, to
make
riff
an
on, yeah.
infomercial for themselves.
Right.
So
But
it's
getting
just
back to
critical.
the debates with regard to the mayoral race, I mean, the mayor was always ready, willing, and able to debate. And he also was running a grassroots, knock on doors campaign. Himself. He was out there working. You know, I said it in the primary. He, to me, at the time, looked like he was the hardest working candidate out there, and he was the incumbent. He didn't take it for granted. And you know, I think because he didn't take it for granted and he was running like he was running a close race, he wasn't taking anything for granted, gave him the edge and
Well,
put
like
him
Mark
over the
alluded
top.
to earlier, though, the mayor's well known. He's a very likable guy. He'll buy you beer. He's fun to hang around with. He always has a good joke.
He's a hard worker too.
And he's just a fun guy to be around. And people know him from the football games and from the radio and from the boxing. He does some of the boxing announcing. Yeah. And so, you know, it's tough to beat a guy that's that well known and universally well known.
And at the same time, though, is running like he's behind. He ran a race like a challenger. He ran a hard race like a challenger, didn't take it for granted, and that, I think, pushed him over the edge.
But you're correct. Had he taken anything for granted, he might have lost his.
It could have gone a different way.
He had a
He did
hashtag
not
that he
take
put
it for
out there,
granted.
take nothing for granted.
Right.
I saw
And
it
that
at
was
one
his
point.
attitude.
And also, one thing you got to remember, that Bill has kept the residents of Brockton informed. He's done a television show on a regular basis on the government channel. You know, Shoe City Scoop. He's done it. He's put it out there. I knew when he became mayor. I've challenged every single person running for office to go on TV other than at election time. Mm-hmm. Some of them do, some of them don't. Councilor Sullivan did it before the council show. Councilor Yanieri did it. You know, he also continued it. School committee is on TV when they have meetings. City council and FinCom is on TV. I think TV and social media combined, and I also think what we were talking about when we were off air with social media, it's a blessing and a curse. There's no doubt about it. It's a blessing and a curse.
I think negative, nasty social media in Brockton is a turnoff.
Exactly.
To me, that's
So,
my
so
feeling.
we're going to go to 9:45.
Can I
Go
just
ahead.
mention just a few things, because I've been paying attention, but I've also tried to be responsive to several of the people that have been asking questions, and I want to thank the Brockton residents for actually posing these questions and wanting us to address them. The first one is, to me personally, what's up with the glasses? I did take them off because they are not prescription, but they were in my, kind of snarky way of just saying, going back and taking a throwback to A Different World with Dwayne Wayne. If anybody remembers A Different World, he came onto Hillman campus with his flip-up glasses, and I saw them, and I wanted to throw back to that. And I just really like them, and you know me, you know how I am.
And you're a fun person.
And then there it
This
is.
is your social media at work.
I'm fun and cute, right?
Is she fun and cute? I was just going to ask Steve that question.
I say incompetent too.
Incompetent.
And competent.
Oh, okay.
No.
And also, too, I just want to make sure that we recognize the control room. They are doing an excellent job, and I'm
Absolutely.
watching the graphics and listening to us. So thank you guys in there. And so to a serious topic, of all the candidates that we've had, incumbent and first-time candidates or the challengers, Gene Bradley was the only candidate of color that made it in all the races. And he was not the only candidate of color in all the races. So in a city like Brockton, what does that mean?
That is a very good question at this point.
To me, it means that they were. To me, it means that the voters liked him.
Of the new candidates, I mean, excluding Moses. So.
Well, I think the voters liked him, and the voters saw a polished, competent, hard worker, very outgoing, impressive person, and they are going to vote for who they think is going to do the best job. I mean, I think that the people of Brockton, vote for the best person. They, make a determination. They vote for the best person. I mean, the bottom line is that, if you impress the city of Brockton, if you impress the voters, they're going to pick who they think is going to get the job done. And I think that they were very impressed with this young man.
I agree.
I think that, we were talking off air about it when he was being interviewed by Mark, before he found out about the results. You could tell that young man had just finished a marathon, and he was definitely tired, but he had worked so hard, you could tell. I think now he's probably energized and got injected with,
came to win.
with high on life feeling right now. He must be so, elated, but, he was definitely tired because he worked so hard. And I just think that the people felt that he was going to do a great job,
On that note, when I met him over at Massasoit Community College, I was not one of his professors, but he was running for student trustee. And he was working it right then and there. He was not a citizen yet. I actually said to him, he gave the commencement address as the student speaker, and I said to him, let me know when I can come visit you in Haiti when you're president. I actually said that to him, and he said, no. He was humble at the time, okay, and I did not know that he was going to, work real hard, get his citizenship, and then run for city council. The numbers are up there, proof is in the pudding. He did work very hard. Other candidates worked very hard too. Jacob Tagger certainly, Gary Keith certainly. I'm sure Gary Keith is very disappointed because he has given very good service to the city on the zoning board and the planning board, which are actually thankless jobs, to be perfectly honest with you. That's a real tough job. My father served on the planning board and was very happy when he was done, to be honest with you. But the numbers are the numbers are up there. I think Gene will take a couple of days, maybe not, and then he'll hit the ground running even before he's elected. I think you're going to see that. I think he'll continue the tradition. You have two new counselors. You have him. You have Susan Nicastro, who was on the planning board, and now she's a city councilor. Those are the two new faces on the city council. Right. Her beating Derek Barros by the numbers you see up on the screen. And you also, on the school committee, I think the school committee is all the folks that are there, Tom, correct? Nobody, no changes on the school committee.
There are no changes on the school committee.
So Mark D'Agostino easily reelected in Ward 3. Ward 4 didn't have a school committee race. Ward 5, Judy Sullivan got reelected by a good margin. Ward 6, big margin for Joyce Asak. So she must be very happy and proud tonight. And Ward 7, Tim Sullivan retained his seat, and I know Ray worked hard as well, and I'm sure he's very disappointed. He's definitely a hard worker. Tim Sullivan's a good guy. Ward 5 City Council, Ann Beauregard, who you will see every place, anywhere and any place, easily retained her seat.
Usually walking.
Walking someplace. Jack Lally easily retaining his seat in Ward 6. And there we go. Those are all the Ward 2 City Councilor Tom Monahan re-elected. Bigger margin than I actually thought in Ward 2 because Angel worked it. Dennis Aneri, that was the closest election in the city, I would say. And then the mayor's race closer than I thought it was going to be. Again, I think the debate, I agree with you, all the difference in the world. I think a debate is, always a risk for an incumbent and always an opportunity for a challenger. Missed opportunity.
And if I could too, this is outside of Brockton, but I mean, we're all together. I want to congratulate a friend of mine, Yvonne Spicer. She has been elected to be the first mayor of the city of Framingham. And as an African-American woman, as the first mayor, when they just changed their form of government over, she did an amazing, amazing job. And if you want to know how to run a campaign, talk to her people. My friend Jaquetta Van Zant ran her campaign, and they edged out the Stefani, I believe was his name. But congratulations, Yvonne, and I know you're going to do excellent in Framingham.
And it's a city.
It is.
And that was an interesting, controversial thing. Some people like that idea and some people don't.
She's going to be great.
So we are close to the 10 o'clock hour. I think I'm going to give it a wrap. I'm going to thank my fellow panelists. I'm going to thank you for your help during the election cycle to bring the candidates on TV. Tom, I'm glad you're here because you're a regular over here, and I'm glad you didn't have a challenger because you would have been hard to replace.
I originally did.
I know you did. I know you did. But you can, you're back. You're kind of the dean of the school committee and the vice chair.
We have a good team. We have a good team of people. Okay,
and I know you got a lot of hard work to do ahead. I hope the city moves forward with the challenge on the funding, because we did not do well from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. On that note, election 2017 is over. The next one starts tomorrow. There are already people getting ready for the statewide races, for governor, for auditor, for attorney general. That's the next race up. I don't know about the legislative delegation. We've heard rumblings of a challenge in state reps ward. You never know who might enter that fray.
You never know who might enter that race.
You never know.
Okay, so
I think we do.
On this note, I would like to thank my entire team here at BCA, and we had a few volunteers in the mix.
The cute and
Ruby
cuddly
Ritchell
candidate
came back to visit us, and my wife Terry, Shari, who works here at BCA. Jay Miller was up from dusk to dawn today, getting us that video, and the control room folks and everybody. I just want to thank you for Brockton Community Access. We'll be back with the next election coverage and bringing the candidates all on TV. So thank you and good night.
Good.